This video contains information that may be offensive and disturbing to some people. If you are a viewer and are triggered or shocked by images and need a warning prior to every clip or story being discussed, then please unsubscribe from my channel immediately. My channel covers the harsh reality of even the worst crimes imaginable and is for adults only. For those of you who fit into this category, take this message as your warning and don't watch any further. What's going on, generous freaks? Yeah, I'm slowly slogging along. Yeah, what I have on right now is this weird shirt because I cut a V in the back so I could let the wound sort of just be out in the air for a while. So, you know, it's not like the greatest shirt in the world. I found the worst one that I had in the drawer. Okay. So there you go. Yeah. Yeah, so the wound looks like it's healing better. You know, the motion in the arm, you know. Seems like I said before, it goes like a 0.5% to 1% better a day. You know, some days it just stays the same. So it's kind of like, yeah, it just sucks, you know. But there you go. Yeah, I should have torn that sucker right up, huh, Cairo? Waiting for people to come in. And thank you again to Crystal Ann for the super chat. And like I said before, I don't get any ad revenue on this channel, so all the money that I use to support the channels from you guys and the donations at the end of the month. So that's it. The ad revenue a month is like something around like $200 or something. It's horrible. Almost every one of my videos is set to that yellow where it said little to no ads. You know, so you might see one when the show starts or whatever. I don't know who gets that revenue or whatever, but I sure as hell don't. Oh, and here's one of the look at mug. Hey, look at that. I'll put it right there. Ah, yeah. Look at that weirdness. Whee! Oh, wow. That almost looked like a mug with eyes on it. Well, you gotta go get one. It's on the Streamlabs, or not the Streamlabs, the Teespring. Below the videos, you go to the website. I have the look at ones, the Daybells, all those. Now, I looked yesterday on Braylon. I didn't see anything. Yeah, I know who that is. Yeah. So anyways, what we're going to be talking about today is the Doodler. I'm sure most of you haven't heard of the Doodler. Okay, he was a serial killer that was active in San Francisco in the gay community from basically 74 and 75. And it was apparently a black man who was really good at well, I don't know if he was really good, but he would draw different people while he was at the bar, and that would lead to them being, oh, wow, this is so great. And then he'd go home with them, or wherever he went, they'd take off together for a rendezvous, and he'd end up killing them viciously with a knife. So it's kind of all over the coverage in the San Francisco newspaper back then wasn't very good. So there's some stuff out there, and maybe we can look into different aspects of it. I mean, they say that if you go to Wikipedia, it says there's 5 victims, but other places say there's 14. And I think that's probably more accurate, because I have 8 that all have almost exactly the same MO and everything. Yeah, I don't know how in the hell you guys use laptops. I mean, not laptops, cell phones to do the show here. It's like, how do you even see what I'm doing? It's tiny. Thanks, Billy Boy Blue. That's right. It's the Hughes Gray Show. I did put it back on so you guys can see.
Hold on. Is this the Hughes Gray Show?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, so how about a good way to start would be to do these clips here. Like, oh god, gotta fix it again. But they're from news articles recently. So in about 2018 and 19, they started looking at the case again. I think the Golden State Killer solving got them more active again, and apparently they have DNA of the suspect. They've never said that the DNA said that it was a black person, but the witnesses, one person who escaped from him, drew a picture, or his words led to a sketch. You saw what, Danielle? I mean, it's weird how, like, if I'm doing a show, people quickly look it up. Oh, look, hey, Gray, did you see this? Did you see this? All right. Here we go. This is like a press conference, and all the links to this stuff is in the description.
Our biggest contact that we're working on these cases are the ones that have been committed south of Market Street and what are known as the
you can't
S&M
see it though,
bars.
so let me flip over to the other screen here. There we go. What's up?
Our biggest contact that we're working on these cases are the ones that have been committed south of Market Street and what are known as the S&M bars in that area. And the men are visiting these establishments, not only talking to the owners of the bars, but people that frequent the bars. I know the gay community is well aware that these murders are going on, but we're looking for, primarily I should say, our search has been for someone that may have survived these attacks and haven't come forward and reported it.
So apparently somebody did come forward. I don't know what it is. I always love seeing these old shots like this. This is film. See how, each frame has different artifacts on it, Okay, now these are a couple of the newer articles from like 2018 and 19.
Killer. Tonight there's word of a break in the case of another serial killer who terrorized the Bay Area. Night Beat's Joe Vasquez is live in San Francisco's Castro tonight. Joe?
Yeah, Ken, this was back in the early 70s when you had a couple more well-known, better-known serial killers, the Zebra and the Zodiac. But here in the Castro, there was another guy who was killing people.
Never heard
His
of that
name was the Doodler. He was nicknamed the Doodler because the serial killer sketched each of his victims before killing them.
Yeah.
14 men, all believed to be gay, were murdered in San Francisco from January 1974 to September 1975.
See, they say 14 on these articles, but like I said, Wikipedia only has 5, and then there's they don't list all 14 anywhere in any of the articles that I've seen.
These were found on Ocean Beach, Spreckles Lake, and Golden Gate Park, near the 16th tee at the Lincoln Park Golf Course.
We were scared to death. We were scared to death because it's like, you know, you don't know who it is.
CNN is now reporting San Francisco police have identified a suspect. The detective on the case tells CNN he is going to release an updated sketch of the suspected serial murder, one that shows him more than 40 years older.
Well, you haven't really identified a suspect. You've created a drawing that you think looks like the suspect. You haven't identified anybody.
Detective says he is still working with DNA
That's
to nail
CNN
down
for you,
some
though.
evidence. There were 3 survivors of the Doodler's attacks. When police arrested a suspect at the time, they had to let him go because all the survivors refused to publicly testify at a time when gay men could not afford to come out of the closet. What would have happened if somebody would have come out of the closet?
You could be terminated. You get terminated.
Yeah, it's the other black serial killer. I forgot his name all of a sudden, but he killed 90-something people in Chicago, and he could sketch them all. His name will pop into my head. I'm sure it's easy to remember. I just don't remember right this second.
From your job.
It's kind of recent.
You could lose your family.
The police detective told
Little,
CNN that he's still trying to track down those 3 survivors to see if they are still around and might be willing to testify now. San Francisco police are not confirming the story to us, but they are planning to hold a news conference. Reporting live on the Night Beat, I'm Joe Vasquez.
New clues emerging from a decades-old cold case.
Why do you hate Little any more than any other killer, though? You say it almost every time, Cairo.
Investigators now saying they've...
By the way, I put in a community section a video that Cairo made, on his little travels, and I don't think it gave a notification to anybody. I mean, it was unbelievable. Like, nobody even saw it.
obtained DNA evidence from the serial killer known as the Doodler.
Oh, I have reasons.
It's a case that
Let's not tell anybody those reasons and keep it kind of secret. Stay mysterious to everybody.
Terrorized the Bay Area back in the 70s after 5 men were killed. Police say the killer targeted gay Caucasian men. Investigators now say they've obtained DNA evidence and have sent it to a state crime lab. They've also released this sketch of what the killer might look like today, more than 40 years later.
I guess if he was bald,
First sketch is from a victim who police believe was attacked by the same killer, but was able to escape.
Where this became tied to the Doodler is that one of these victims met the suspect at an all-night truck stop diner, and when he met the suspect was drawing caricatures on a piece of paper.
11,000 views.
That victim went home with the suspect and was subsequently attacked.
San Francisco police are now offering a $100,000 reward to anyone with information leading to the killer.
First, the Golden State Killer, and now there is word of a potential break in the case of another serial killer who terrorized the Bay Area. CNN is now reporting that San Francisco police have identified a suspect in the Doodler case. Investigators say he would meet his victims in the gay bars, then charm them by sketching a portrait of them just before he took their lives. 14 people, all believed to be gay, were killed from January 1974 to September 1975. The detective on the case tells CNN he is going to release an updated sketch of the suspected serial killer. The detective also says he is still working with DNA to nail down some evidence.
Oh, and this is just more the footage that they had. There's no audio at all, but this is just film from back in the day when they were giving a press conference. But I always think it's cool looking at this stuff. So they probably just, B-roll footage at the time. But I mean, actual stuff going on, but they would use it to fill in. Oh, I could hear that a little bit. As you were? That looks like the same guy, but younger. Doesn't he look like this guy? Hard to say. Hey, I'll be honest, everybody. I hate all serial killers. All right. And that's hard to say, but
our biggest contact in that we're working on in the...
I don't know. It's probably different people. Okay. So, you know, this is one of those things that's sort of hard to start, and we're just going to kind of look at different things. So this is one of the victims here, Frederick Kappen, and you can actually see there's one small little newspaper article here. I think there's basically I have the same one twice. So the city's 38th murder victim this year has been identified as Frederick Kappen, 33, hospital worker who lived in the Mission District. Kappen's body was found Monday morning on Ocean Beach. He had been stabbed 16 times, and homicide inspector Al Podesta said that he had apparently been slain at some other location. So that was the dump site. Ah, there goes my stomach. Yeah. So apparently he was found like right in this area. Just on these dunes here, I think. And then there's another victim named Gerald Kavanaugh. And I'll go to that. This is him right here. And these are all gay men, and some of them are like transgender, you know, transvestites, those kind of things. Yeah, I don't think this right now. If this happened now, all of them would come forward because there's no, you know, the gay community isn't scared anymore. You know, unless you're somebody that wasn't gay. But almost all of these people, hadn't come out yet, and you're trying to hide it. Almost all of these people, though, that were killed were gay. You know, like people. You know, maybe a couple of them for sure people knew, right? I just think it's different now, totally different. Anyone who saw Gerald Kavanaugh, 50-year-old finisher, alive or with someone Saturday night, was asked today to call the police homicide bureau. Kavanaugh of 185 Belvedere Street was found dead on Ocean Beach at ULLOA Street at 1:45 a.m. Sunday. So, God, that would have been creepy to find a person dead on a beach at 1:45 in the morning. He had been stabbed 17 times. That's interesting. So what was the first person's name again? Frederick Kappen. 16 times. 17 times in the chest, back, and stomach. Inspector Hobart Nelson said a man called police to report a body would be found on the beach minutes before it was discovered. Oh. Well, that might have been the killer actually calling in, see? Inspector Hobart Nelson, or it could have been somebody who witnessed the body being dumped and didn't want to get involved. And then somebody else walked by and found the body. But, 1:45 in the morning? I don't even understand how somebody else at 1:45 in the morning found that body. And look, it's pretty close to this location. Just another block away. And everything looks basically the same. Hasn't changed a bit since then. So the bodies were dumped kind of in these sand dunes over here. And there's a couple I haven't got mapped out yet because there hardly was any information at all. So this one is Joseph Stevens, a transvestite performer. No, it's not going to open. Here we got that weird problem with that viewer. Not sure what's going on there. I can kind of see it off to the side here, so let's try to check that out like that. Clothing belonging to slain entertainer Joseph Stevens, whose body was discovered early yesterday in Golden Gate Park, was found in a car smashed up in Hayward Police Chase. Oh yeah, remember that? I remember that one. When see, Ada is the one that brought this case to my attention. I think back in about a year, almost 2 years ago now. And we were kind of looking at it. And then, you know, I got so many other things I'm covering, I just kind of dropped it. Now, last few weeks I've come back to it again, just looking at it. But I remember there was one of these cases where the individual, he was found dead, but the clothing of that person were found in a car involved in a police chase, and they never caught that person. The car driver described. Now here's what's weird though, is the driver of this car isn't a black person. The car's driver, described as white, about 22, with shoulder length blonde hair, fled the scene. Okay, so that doesn't match the other description. So, I mean, it's possible then that this guy was killed by a different person, or the car that was, you know, I don't know. I don't know how you can explain a dead person's clothing being in your vehicle. Like that guy just happened to steal the Doodler's car right after, you know. Okay, the body of a well-dressed man was found this morning near Spreckles Lake in Golden State Park. All right, so let's see where that is. And this is for Joseph Stevens. Oh, that's not there it is. Golden Gate Park is what I meant. Oh yeah, so we've already identified this spot. So he was found right next to this lake right here, Spreckles Lake. And he's 27 years old. The victim was the 70th of the year, compared with 43 at this date last year, according to Homicide Lieutenant Charles Ellis. That's a lot of murders, man. Jeez. Police said Stevens was stabbed 5 times and was apparently the victim of a robbery. His pockets were empty, but police were able to make an identification through fingerprints. Homicide Inspector Dave Toshi and Gene Fogarty said the body was discovered about 15 feet from Spreckles Lake about 7 a.m. by a passerby. A woman who lives on Fulton Street at 34th Avenue, opposite where the body was found, told officers she heard male screams and cries for help at about 11:50 last night. So the victim was yelling for help. All right, hold on. I gotta get back to the. All right, I'm just trying to find the ones that I have files on. Yeah. And there was another individual found in this part, Harold Goldberg, next to this golf course, just like that one article was talking about, or video that we watched. And then, so those are 5 right there. And then Klaus Christman, he was found right here off of this street. So it's kind of strange. I mean, they're, you know, he drove down various, because in San Francisco, if you just head for the water down any street, it leads right to the ocean, right? Every one of them. They're just absolutely, look at that, just straight as an arrow, all the way down. Hell, even over here you could do that. So wherever you killed the person, you just go right down the road, pull over, dump the body, move on. Yeah, so this is an article from 2012. In the early afternoon of February 17th, in this article's E-bar, early afternoon, February 17th, 1974, Stig Leonard Berlin, so this is another person that I have in a folder, was found stabbed to death in apartment 9 at 275 Hyde Street. So let me get that. Okay, and then that was at 275. Hyde Street. So in this case, this person took him home. Yeah, so Stig Berlin took home the Doodler because apparently they've linked him to this somehow. The 37-year-old gay man had been cut multiple times in the chest and other areas, according to the San Francisco Medical Examiner's Office. A bloody towel was in the bathroom, and more blood was in the sink. You kind of wonder if that blood in the sink wasn't Sig's. It appears he had been dead for more than 2 days. Almost 40 years later, there are suspects, and police have reopened investigation. Or it could have been Sig's, but the person was just washing his hands or something like that. Almost 40 years later, there are no suspects, and police have reopened investigations into Berlin's killing, along with those of Joe Vasquez, a.k.a. Joe Barbarella, who was in his 20s, and Joseph Y. Rodriguez, Jr., a.k.a. Lisa Yancey, 30. Both were killed in their Tenderloin homes in 1975. And they were also stabbed to death. The investigations are happening as the murder trial in another case approaches. San Francisco Police Inspector Pat Correa said the main obstacle in finding those responsible for Berlin, Vasquez, and Rodriguez's death is finding people who knew the victims. I can't get to them because they're no longer here, he said. That's the biggest challenge right now. Correa said that with improvements in technology for testing DNA and other evidence, she's hopeful something may pop up. But she indicated finding people who knew the victim is critical. He had a life outside of the murder, and I want to know what the life is. Correa said, referring to all the victims, she said she's looking for people to put together their lives, to give me a picture of their lives and help guide her. Accounts of killings offer a small glimpse of the city's LGBT community as it was in the mid-70s, just years before the AIDS epidemic hit and decimated much of the city's gay population. Correa declined to share many details on the homicide cases, but reports at the medical examiner's office offer some clues. Is this interesting for you guys? The file on Vasquez's death indicates police initially thought he had been shot when he was found at 344, so we can put that in there. 344 Ellis Street. And this is Vasquez. Yeah, I mean, look how close it is to the other one. The other apartment. Joe Vasquez. And so it's that apartment right there. And that was March 16, 1975. Gilbert Ayala, who was Vasquez's roommate, came to the apartment at 10:30 p.m. with Pat Matthews and Sandy Balin. Story indicates Ayala was also known as Gilda. So these are people that would cross-dress, or, you know, they were transvestite, something like that. Thanks, Randy B. Appreciate it. Vasquez was seated on the sofa, unresponsive, and with blood over the body and on the divan. What's a divan? I've never even heard of that. I have to look that up. Oh, okay. A long, low sofa without a back. Okay. Never heard of it. So Vasquez was seated on the sofa, unresponsive, and with blood over the body and the sofa with no back on. The medical examiner report says, according to the file, he died after being stabbed in the heart. No weapon was found. Ayala, who had been away over the weekend, reported that he'd last seen Vasquez at the nearby Roadrunner bar at about 2 a.m. the day before. And it's hard to find any of these bars. Every one of them's changed their names over the years. I found one, I believe. Yeah, like, see this right here? This is United States Gay Male Leather Culture Collection, 1960 to 1990. And then I was down here and I was looking for the Bojangles. That's right. And right here it says, handbill announcing activities of interest to a variety of gays at the One Center. Scope and context. The Bojangles was a bar in San Francisco Tenderloin District that operated between 74 and 77. Then right here it said, handbill for a dance at the new Bojangles. So I don't know if there's a new one, not the, but that one is at 1351 Harrison Street. But it does say 1973, so I think that is the bar. So that was one of the bars that the Doodler picked people up at. Yeah. Well, almost a lot of these killings were in the Tenderloin district. I don't know where they came up with that name, or you know. Nearby Roadrunner bar at 2 a.m. So Ayala, who had been away over the weekend, reported that he'd last seen Vasquez at a nearby Roadrunner bar at 2 a.m. the day before with Steve Berger. The Sentinel piece indicates Vasquez, who was well known in the Tenderloin, was still alive when Berger left. Okay, so when Berger left, he was still alive. Of the morning, let's see. The medical examiner's office listed about $105 in jewelry as among Vasquez's property. So none of these killings had anything to do with robbery. It appears Vasquez may have been what now would be considered transgender. The medical examiner's report mentioned enlarged female appearing breasts and says that Vasquez's body revealed signs of sex transformation procedure. He was wearing women's underwear and eye makeup when he was found. On April 1st, 1975, just 2 weeks after Vasquez was killed, Rodriguez's body was found in his home at 370 Ellis Street. Wow, it's right near there. Jeez, look at that. So that's, I mean, right in the same, almost the same apartment complex. And this is, let's get back to that. Rodriguez. So Joseph Y. Rodriguez. So right in the same exact area. And look how close that one is again to this one right here, which is hold on, let me make sure. Yeah, this is Stig Berlin. So let me put that name on there. Okay, so those three, they're almost identical, right in that same area. Pretty crazy, huh? Thank you, Carol. Look at the flowers. Let's see. Apartment 5, just down the street from Vasquez's apartment. Right? Almost in the same building, really. At about 8:15 p.m., Rodriguez's friend Martin Wright came to check on him. It had been a few days since he had seen Rodriguez. Wright opened the door with his key and found the door chain locked from that's weird, from the inside. He used a second key to the chain lock. I don't even know how that exists. Entered the apartment and found Rodriguez dead on the hallway floor. Can you put the chain on, even using that lock, from the outside? I mean, maybe I can understand, like, there's some kind of mechanism. Once you're inside, you put it on, then somebody else from the out, you know. It just doesn't seem... Never heard that before. Well, that's what it sounds like, but then he just said he unlocked the chain from the outside using a key for that. Wright opened the door with his key and found the door chain locked from the inside. He used a second key to the chain lock. Entered the apartment, but I don't think you can lock it from the outside. Like, let's say you left. What do you mean you don't see it? What are you talking about? So you're let's say you're outside the door, and then there's a chain. I mean, I don't know how you would lock the chain from the outside. I understand maybe there's a key that can unlock the chain from the outside, but I don't understand. I don't think you could leave the apartment and then somehow put a key in and then put the chain on, because I don't think you could get out. So that's weird. That's a weird thing. That means somebody from the inside, and maybe they went down like a fire escape or out of back. I don't know what level that was on. So Wright opened the door with his key and found the door chain locked from inside. He used a second key to the chain lock, entered the apartment, and found Rodriguez dead on the hallway floor. He was unclothed and lying face down, at least partially covered by a yellow and orange sheet, the medical examiner file says. There were pillows about his head and shoulders, and... Oh, is that what you're saying by you don't see it? Like being able to do that? Oh, yeah, okay. I get it. I was like, I thought you were saying you can't see what I have on the screen. Which is like the same joke that everybody else says. Can't see it. I can't see. I can't hear. Wright opened the door with his key and found the door chain. I'm going to read this again. From the inside, so it does say the door chain locked from the inside, so, you know, that's confirming that, basically. He was unclothed and lying face down, at least partially covered by a yellow and orange sheet, the medical examiner's file says. So it could have been like the bodies that he dumps in parks and dunes. Those are people, that didn't take him home. They just said, hey, do you want to go to, go somewhere. Okay, the other ones, they actually brought him back to the apartment, and he still did the same thing to them, but he didn't need to then take their body and put it somewhere, because it's already, right there. He didn't need to dump it, in other words. There were pillows about his head and shoulders, and broken glass was in his hair and on the floor around his head. Rodriguez had 3 stab wounds in his back and 1 in his abdomen. He had clutched in each hand small amounts of long, dark hair. Oh, that's interesting. According to the medical examiner's office, the cause of death is listed as a stab wound of the abdominal aorta. The apartment was... See, that doesn't sound like that's like a black person's hair, right? At that time, because back then there was no straightening or anything. It would just be like natural hair, like an afro. So you would grab it. There wouldn't be like long strands of black hair, right? The apartment was in complete state of disorder. See, the sad part is like newspapers.com and the other ones don't have the newspapers that had these stories in it. Just a little write-up here and there. But there's these other articles that got pretty deep into each one of these, and I can't find those. Or at least I don't have a subscription to it. Yeah, I mean, come on, a wig. Alright, and we already have the blonde guy running from the car, right? That had the clothing in it in one of the other victims. So again, that doesn't even match. Right. Well, Susanna, maybe the wig was glued to the head. I gotta keep making my theory work, so I'm gonna say that. The Sentinel story says 2 sets of fingerprints were found in the apartment that had been accounted for. A turntable, a gold watch, a camera, a checkbook, $150 in cash, and other belongings were missing. So in this case, there's a little bit of a, like a robbery angle to it. Film was found, discarded, and exposed on the floor. So you sort of wonder if they had taken pictures with each other as a part of the ruse, and then he didn't want those to be developed, so expose those. And then let's see what they say. Police surmised that Yancey had taken pictures of his murderer during the day. Okay. Paper offers some description of what Rodriguez was like and what he did in his last hours. I haven't read this article either. I'm just reading it with you guys because it's boring to read the whole thing and then go over it again. The paper offers some description of what Rodriguez was like and what he did in his last hours. Wright described him as easygoing, with a generous heart and open wallet. Friends tell of times he would leave on the spur of the moment, taking a friend to Tijuana for breakfast. On March 30th, Rodriguez went to Easter services at Dlive Memorial Church, just down the street from the apartment. Later, he and a friend went to PS, not sure what that means, where Rodriguez kept a standing reservation for brunch, the paper says. According to an April 1975 Bay Area Reporter story, both Vasquez and Rodriguez frequented the Score 2 on Mason Street, as well as Nickelodeon next door. When Rodriguez and his friend parted, that was the last time Yancey was seen alive, according to the Sentinel. The medical examiner report says that night, neighbor Margaret Schultz heard a loud argument in Rodriguez's apartment about 6:20 p.m. Schultz's son Henry was returning home and saw an unidentified white male leaving Rodriguez's apartment. See, there you go. So that's weird, you know. You get these killings that are similar. So maybe there's two different killers there, right? So you got the one with the the Doodler, the black guy, and then these are maybe a different killer of gay men, right? But it seems like these three for sure are related, right? Lots of killers out there. Let's see. An April 17, 1975 bar story says the paper's founder, Bob Ross, pushed the Tavern Guild, an association for gay bar owners, to come up with $500 reward for information leading to the arrest and conviction of the killers, with an S. The article says San Francisco Police Department Inspector Hobart Nelson attended a community meeting to discuss Vasquez and Rodriguez killings. Said despite having little to work with, the cases would never be closed until we find the killers. He also said, despite what you have heard, I myself consider gay people, transsexuals, all people, first-class citizens, and I work just as hard on a killing of one of your people as I do on the murder of a wealthy person. What does the wealthy comment have to do with anything, though? It's like there were charges that San Francisco Police Department wasn't giving it its all. In response to frustration over the pace of the investigation, Inspector Manley told the paper, just because people don't see a lot of red lights flashing doesn't mean we aren't working. Sometimes everything falls together quickly. At other times, we may work on a case for 3, 4, 5 years. In an interview late last month, almost 40 years after the killings, Correa said she's reevaluating all evidence she can. Federal funding also helped in another recent case. Earlier this year, police arrested William Payne, 48, after his DNA was matched to semen that had been found on the body of Nicholas Crumley, 41, in 1983. It's not clear how helpful DNA evidence will be in the investigations of Berlin, Vasquez, and Rodriguez's death. Correa said, it's because it probably didn't get to the sexual act. Like, I almost don't even think any of these people were raped. It just seems like, well, maybe, I don't know, the Doodler, I'm not sure, but these three just seem like they were killed. Okay, let me find another article here that I have. So this is from 2019 again. San Francisco police released new information Wednesday. You know what? I actually have the the full poster that was released. So this is regarding the Doodler. I don't know. I think that other guy must be. I don't know. Unless they don't have the Doodler description right. So nobody's ever given any evidence. They haven't said that they did phenotyping and it showed a black individual. In the other cases. So, in July 1975, within 2 weeks of each other, 2 separate attacks upon gay white males occurred inside of the Fox Plaza apartments at 1390 Market Street. Now let's see. Well, look how close that is again. You know, it could just be because there was like the gay district and everybody lived close to there. Prior to one attack, the victim met the suspect who was drawing caricatures at a former all-night diner on the 1600 block of Market Street. So let's see where that is. Not too far from there. Yeah, so right around in this area. Diner where... So somewhere in that area, so pretty close. Both victims provided a suspect description of a black male approximately 19 to 25 years old, 5'11 to 6 foot, lanky in appearance with a medium complexion and smooth skin. One of the surviving victims provided further information to police, which resulted in a composite sketch of the suspect shown below. From January 1974 to June 1975, there were also a series of 5 homicides of gay white males that occurred along Ocean Beach area. The manner and methods of attacks, circumstances surrounding the homicides, and led investigators to believe that the suspect from the Fox Plaza attacks was also a person of interest in these 5 homicides. During one of the homicides, there was an audio tape of a call to a police dispatch regarding a possible homicide, and the caller is yet to be identified. The investigation thus far had led police to believe the suspect lived in the Bay Area, but outside of San Francisco, and would come into the city at nighttime on the weekends. Information also indicates there is the likelihood of additional victims who may have survived attempted attacks but have not come forward to document the incidents. Yeah, so those could be like the ones that at the time, 1974, being gay and all that was perceived totally differently, and they probably didn't come forward, and maybe they never came forward. But if this same thing happened in San Francisco today, it's so accepted now that everybody would have came forward, everything like that. Now there still are individuals out there that they haven't come out yet or whatever, so they might be nervous to do that, but it's just Yeah. What do you want to be accurate, Lisa? Oh, I don't know. I'm not really sure about the phenotyping. You know, some are accurate, some aren't close. And sometimes you sort of, you're a little bit leery, what side the hair was parted on, to get that right. I mean, are they making some of these after the fact? Because it doesn't say where your hair is parted on phenotyping. All it does is it has a little bit of information on the shape. What it is accurate about is eye color, skin tone, hair color, freckles, the face shape. Who knows, right? Who knows how their hair looked? Was it long? Was it short? Did they, comb it a certain way? Did they have ponytail? Nobody knows that. Yeah, that's great. But anyways, they're not really that accurate. They're pretty good. They're like a sketch, kind of like, hey, here's a likeness maybe of somebody. Go look at the one of Miller, the April Tinsley murderer, John Miller. He doesn't look anything like that. It didn't show that he was missing all these teeth and had to. Well, good for them, Saltina. Good for them. I'm just telling you in general, they're not really that accurate. Yeah. So that's pretty interesting right there. But outside of San Francisco and would come into the city at night. And so apparently that's what he looks like. African male, 19 to 25, 5'11 to 6 foot. In a plea for tips from the public, police released a new sketch of what the suspect may look like today, as well as an audio recording of a call to police dispatch. Wow, where's that?
The date is January 27th, 1974, and the time is now 10:30 a.m. We're going to tape a portion of the radio transmission that occurred last night at approximately 1:25 a.m. That would be 27th of January 1974 at 1:25 a.m.
Communications, Mrs. Quintan, may I help you?
Yes, I believe there might be a dead person on the beach at right across from Ulloa Street. If you follow the street right down to the water, I was walking along there and I saw somebody lying there, but I didn't want to get too close because you never know what could happen. Okay?
Yeah, I don't think that person has anything to do with it.
You want to give me your name, sir?
No, I don't think that's necessary. I just wanted to let somebody know maybe needs help or something. But felt it was my duty to report it.
Okay, fine. We'll check it out.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah, it's probably just somebody who was out there and he didn't want to get involved, but called it in anyways. He didn't. I thought he sounded. Thought he sounded pretty legit.
That would be 27th of January 1974 at 1:25 a.m.
Communications, Mrs. Quintan, may I help you?
Yes, I believe there might be a dead person.
See, he says, I think that... See, that's... The way he spoke is exactly how you would do it if you weren't the killer. He's like, I think there may be a dead... the killer would have probably messed up and said, oh, there's a dead person here. He's, you would have been really accurately describing it. Whereas this person's kind of like, yeah, I think there's a...
The beach at right across from Ulloa Street. If you follow the street right down to the water, I was walking along there and I saw somebody lying there, but I didn't want to get too close because, you You never know what could happen. Okay?
Did you want to give me your name, sir?
No, I don't think that's necessary.
By the way, everybody, I'm just a cup of coffee. Now we're like the last 2 shows, we're way behind on the month now.
I just wanted to let somebody know. Maybe needs help or something. But felt it was my duty to report it.
Okay, fine. We'll check it out.
Okay.
Bye.
Well, I don't know what the Doodler is, if he's gay or not. I think he hates gay people. That's why he's killing them. And it may have been that when he, you know, just to throw out some kind of random thought, like when he was younger, you know, maybe he assumed somebody was gay that did something to him, and then he's spent his whole life, you know, a certain portion of his adult life killing them. Something like that. I mean, because it's weird to have a specific type of person that you're killing. That means there's some... Yeah, like when serial killers kill prostitutes, it's not like, oh, wow, a prostitute at one point did something. You know, it's just they're easy game for them. Okay, this serial killer, he must have some sort of a hatred. I mean, look at the 16, 17 stab wounds on 2 of them. It's totally different. Thanks, Layla, my Layla.
There might be a dead person on the beach at right across from Ulloa Street. If you follow this.
Yeah, and that's this one right here. Right there. So that means, he said if you follow that, and so somewhere in this, right around here, you just follow it straight down, and then the body was right around there. It definitely wasn't where I have the pin. It was probably like here or something. Oh, that was pretty crazy. Let's see what they say here. On Wednesday, February 6, 2019, at a news conference, police headquarters to provide the community and the news media with an update. During the news conference, homicide investigators released new information, including a $100,000 reward, an age progression sketch, and audio. In the mid-1970s, the San Francisco Police Department investigated several violent assaults of gay white male victims. At least one victim provided information that led to a forensic sketch of the suspect. The San Francisco Police Department forensic sketch artist completed an age progression sketch that depicts... See, man, that's just brutal. You know, you're going to make a sketch and then do an age progression of a sketch. Well, the sketch itself isn't going to be accurate, right? It's just sort of a likeness. So then you do an age progression sketch. I mean, the accuracy of that is absolutely horrible. Okay, it's not even going to be close. Now, maybe if you combine Parabon to get the correct coloring, and you know what I would do is I would have done phenotyping and then put out a color rendering, like turn the sketch in so it has the right color of everything, eye color, skin color, you know, if there's any freckles, that kind of thing. And you do that first, and then have it match how you thought the sketch looked. So, and then do an age progression. But just doing an age progression of a sketch, wow. Give me a break. Hey, thanks, Evelyn. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I mean, I've seen that too, Michelle, what you're saying. There's people out there that like they're gay, and during that time when it wasn't accepted, they hated themselves for being gay, and then, you know, there was some people that would kill people once, just like after the sexual act even, because they didn't want anybody to say anything. I mean, just a lot of reasons. This guy seems a little different though. Like he was doodling at the gay bars.
Thanks for your dedication, Gray. We appreciate you more than you know, Heart.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah. Let's see. Yep. Connections between the Doodler attacks and the 5 homicides led investigators in the San Francisco Police Department Homicide Cold Unit to believe the same suspect is responsible for both sets of crimes. So, one of the things that was interesting, I have in the Kavanaugh folder here, I had something, but let me see what else I have. Okay, so this is an article written by The All. Hey, thanks, Nona. Very cool. Yeah, we got to keep on trucking, At the end of the month, we're going to be, I'm trying, I want to get to $20,000 at the end of the year. Maybe I'll just make it happen regardless.
Thank you, Gray.
So this is what she wrote. So I'll go over this one, and there's the image here. This was back in. Hey, all right, Susie B. Yes, for sure. At 1:57 a.m. on January 27, 1974, a corpse was found at the water's edge on San Francisco's Ocean Beach. Gerald Earl Kavanaugh, 49, had been stabbed multiple times. His left hand showed a defensive wound. His body was, as the coroner register put it, in supine position. That means looking up on his back. Okay.
Grande vanilla latte, skim no whip.
All right. On its way. You know those iced coffee drinks that you can get? Frappuccinos or whatever? Man, my wife bought this bag of, powder, and it tastes just as good as Starbucks. I don't know what the hell happened there, but my God. Freaking amazing. Or McDonald's, you know how they have those. McDonald's? Oh my God, how sacrilegious of you. Hey, it is what it is, huh? His body was at the coroner's register, and the coroner said he was looking up on his back and showing signs of light rigor mortis. Kavanaugh wore underwear, shoes, socks, pants, a shirt, and a jacket. I wonder why they didn't start off with pants first, because you wanted people to think, oh wait, just underwear? Oh, okay, then he did have pants. Hey, thanks, Lee D. Kavanaugh wore underwear, shoes, socks, pants, a shirt, and jacket. In his pocket was $21, and he had a Timex watch on, so there was no robbery motive on this one. As befits a man initially identified as John Doe 7, very little is known about Kavanaugh. He was born in Canada on March 2nd, 1923, and lived in San Francisco. A photo that ran in San Francisco Sentinel after his death shows that he was balding. He worked in a mattress factory. He was 5'8" and weighed 220 pounds. He was Catholic, never married. Thanks, Billy Boy Blue. He needed the money. Oh!
Farif Kubi. CEK of the Kubi. That's the girl form LMAO.
Check of the Kubi. That's the girl. Man, you're switching around all the time. I mean, you used to like Kit Kat, right? And then you switched over to... hell, I can't remember who your second one was. Man. He's a player, man. Kavanaugh was the... What made sense? Angie, are you on rewind mode? What's in the bowl? Yeah, we need your... Oh, it was Curious Georgia? Okay. Well, Kit Kat's still around, okay? Kavanaugh was the first victim in a string of homicides that to this day remain unsolved. From January 1974 to September 1975, the Doodler, or he was sometimes known the Black Doodler on account of his skin color, caught the eye of the Castro bar patrons by drawing caricatures and cartoons of them.
Love you, freaks.
Thanks, Slim Dog. Amused, flattered perhaps, titillated by the attention, man after man would leave the bar with their killer for a more secluded, intimate spot. Once they were alone, the men were stabbed and their bodies left on waterfronts and in parks. Yeah, so I think there's two different killers around that same time. The one in the apartments, and then the Doodler, he'd have them dump their bodies out in the environment. Thanks, Nan Sullivan. All right. To the extent the case has been written about, the Doodler has been credited with 14 victims. One encounters this figure in the era's press accounts and books of recent vintage, but it is far more likely there were in fact 5 or 6. That's what somebody's... But you know what's weird is the reporting of 2019 says 14, and you'd think they would have got that from the police. The larger figure may be due to the frequency with which gay men were murdered in those years. It's possible that several distinct cases were conflated and that the Doodler given too much credit. Yeah, like those 3 we were just talking about. So if those were 3 of the 14, I wouldn't put those in, especially since, the dark hair in the guy's hands and the person seen running out was a white person. Five men were contemporaneously identified in the newspaper as Doodler victims, but the count shouldn't be considered definitive. It's a fool's errand to say any single victim is definitely the work of the Doodler or to rule out the possibility of others. Well, I think you can definitely rule out, if the guy running out... Well, there's 2 different ones. The car chase, where a blonde white guy was running from the car and it had the clothing of one of the victims in it. That's a weird story, don't you think? Like, how'd that happen? Why don't you type in how that could have happened and it really... Okay, type in how you think, in a likely way, that a blonde guy is running from the vehicle that was in a police chase, and in that car are the clothing of a dead person, but the killer is actually a black person, and he's the Doodler. So try to write in how that could happen. I'm going to go take a quick break here for a second. I don't know who the car belonged to. All I know is the person that ran from the car wasn't a black person. Yeah, that's not what that's not the question I said, Susanna. No, they saw the people running from the car. It was just, it could have been that, the guy, maybe it was a stolen vehicle or something. Who the hell knows? It just seems like, come on. I mean, that just throws everything a crazy, maybe the killer used a stolen car. Or wouldn't it be weird if the car was actually the victim's car? So the car was the victim's car, and then the Doodler just left the car out on the street after he dumped the body, and then some random guy was driving it, and he goes, oh my god, I'm being chased because it's stolen, and he just took off. There you go. I think that's the most likely version that I just said. Yeah, we're not talking about that, though, Saltina. That's not the question I asked. Yeah. I think what makes the most sense is what I just said. Although we haven't heard, whose car that was. But if it turns out it was his car, and see, the Doodler gets picked up by the victim, then they go to rendezvous somewhere. Then the Doodler kills that person, and it's not his car. So then maybe the Doodler then drives the car somewhere else, just dumps it on the street, and then some other guy was driving his car. I just said that, Chris. Thank you. Well, how would he know that car was stolen? L. Dot. The black guy threw victim's clothing in a stolen car. Hey, everybody, is that a stolen car? Hey, hold on a second. Yeah, but I agree with what you're saying, Saltina, about the overall story. I think there's at least two separate sets of killing. That just wasn't what I was asking about. So here's, let's take a look at this article. This is what I was going to tell you guys to check out. Yeah, a second. He was in the Kavanaugh folder. Yeah, so during that year, look at this crap right here. This is 1974, late in the year. Look at all of these murders. It said 1 of every 3 San Francisco murders this year is still unsolved. Yeah, well, I'd like to know if law enforcement knows whose car that was. I did read about that a couple years ago when Ada brought up the story. I just don't remember what the scenario was about that. Let me see this. Hold on. Hey, Steph May, thank you. Yeah. Well, here we are. This is this one's cold as you can get, really. But thanks, Steph May. See, that makes like a, we're on our way to a normal day at this point.
Hot face exploding head, flushed face with symbols on mouth. I'm done adulting. Forced to work so much that I've missed 3 days of grey and started having cold case withdrawals. Hashtag stupid railroad. Grey for president.
Wait a minute, are you saying that this is an adult? See, that's that whole thing. Hey, you look nice today. What do you mean, just today? You asshole. Anyways, thank you very much. Did any of you guys even say to wash my hands after that toilet flush? We're just kind of randomly going over part of this stuff here. Hey, Ada, do you remember where that portion was where there was the car accident? Oh, no, a police chase, I mean. And then the car, when they, caught up to the car, there was a guy running from the vehicle, a blonde kid. And then they found the clothing of one of the victims inside that car. I remember reading that way back when. Let's see what Reddit has on that. Can't stand Reddit. I'm sure there's some really good people on there. Where the hell was that? It was a police chase. The Doodler. Police chase. Victims clothing. Is that going to come up with anything? Ah. Yeah, this is a great website here. Quester site. I mean, whatever they do to get their information, it's great. Oh, look at that. They even had a Google Earth with pins. Yeah, look at this. They went through the whole thing. Wow, hey, thank you, Heather. She got the 1 penny more with the cat eye. Boom!
Thanks, Gray, for all of your hard work and dedication you put into your channel.
Okay, so this person typed in 2 hours before his body was found. Okay. I don't believe Jay was a Doodler victim. And then it says 2 hours before his body was found, his car was involved in a high-speed chase through Hayward before crashing into a house. The driver, who got away on foot, was described as having shoulder-length blonde hair. Well, I mean, how do you know it was his car? Whoever wrote this, how do you know it was his car? And if it was his car, why are they, why do you need a description of him? Just go to the DMV and go, yeah, this is John Smith. It obviously wasn't his car, right? So the car that, whatever this blonde guy was driving, he wasn't driving his own vehicle. But that's how this is written. His body was found. His car was involved in a high-speed chase. Well, no, it probably wasn't his car. Or they'd know his name is Jim Smith. Thank you very much, Heather. That was very kind. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Shoulder-length blonde hair. Jay's family was questioned. by the San Francisco Police Department, but the Doodler was never mentioned. Well, how would they know anything about the Doodler? You know, it's like, that's just ludicrous. Jay's at a bar. Some guy walks up. Hey, look at I can draw a picture. Oh, wow, that's great. Let's go have sex or what. However it worked. And then he gets killed. Okay? They're not going to know about the Doodler. They believe Jay's sister, who was hospitalized for killing their mother, killed Jay. Really? And then dumped his body exactly where the Doodler... Yeah, I don't know. Well, actually, that's in a park, though, wasn't it? I don't believe that at all. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, so it's right here by this lake. So the sister tracked him down and then stabbed him a whole bunch of times, and he's screaming, help, help, help. I don't know. I guess, you know, anything's possible. We don't know. Yeah, so that's that lake we were just talking about. Found on the walking path. Doesn't that look like Bruce Lee a little bit? I was looking at that just thinking, oh, that's Bruce Lee. Well, he didn't. I don't know if he had a little bit of mustache, but... They did say, I just read that it was a blonde guy. I just read that out loud. A blonde guy with shoulder-length blonde hair. I think that either the car was stolen or it's the victim's vehicle. And if it's the victim's vehicle, then that means the Doodler went with the victim, Jay, I guess, to a rendezvous somewhere, killed him, then drove Jay's car somewhere else, or just left it there, you know, near that park, and then some other guy thought, ooh, and he left the doors unlocked, left the key in the ignition, hoping somebody would get in there because it would mess up all the fingerprints and everything. Then the guy steals the car, gets into a police chase, and then crashes it. And then he's seen running from this vehicle that had Jay's clothes in the back, but he had nothing to do with the killing. Because it's not whoever the guy that was running, it wasn't his car. Does everybody agree with that? And how do we know that wasn't his car? Well, because they would say, well, an individual named James Smith was seen running from the vehicle. Because that's who it would be registered to. And they wouldn't be saying, well, he had Sandy Brand. They'd have an exact description of him because he'd be in the, the DMV. Now, I just think this guy looks like Bruce Lee right here. The Doodler picked foreigners and out-of-towners. He did have... They were some, like one of them was from Germany. Yeah. I don't know if I want to go through this whole thing. Maybe we can do it on a different show. I think this is kind of like one of those things you just want to revisit here and there. Let's see what this person wrote here. Here's a curious footnote to the case. I recently read a true crime book called Closing Time by Lacey Fosberg. It's long out of print, but I found a cheap copy on Amazon. Hey, Kubi, there's another book for you. The book tells the story of the famous Mr. Goodbar murder, the brutal slaying of a young school teacher. One of the key witnesses in the case turned out to be the man Fosberg calls Rafe. She uses... I don't know if this is related. Let's see. It's quite possible that Rafe and the Doodler were two different people. The obvious question this left me with is, was Rafe the Doodler? I'm not... Oh, shit. One of the key witnesses in the case turned out to be a man Fosberg calls Rafe. She uses pseudonyms throughout. Rafe is described as a black man who was a regular at the bar in question, who always carried a sketch pad, oh that's interesting, and was known for drawing pictures of people. He was in the bar on the night of the murder and drew pictures of Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck for a customer there. Those sketches were found in Quinn's apartment, and Rafe gave the cops a good description of the man who bought them from him. That description was the basis of a sketch which led to a break in the case and the eventual arrest of Quinn's killer. The obvious question this left me with is, was Rafe the Doodler? I'm not suggesting he was Roseanne's killer or anything. It's clear that the man who was arrested was indeed guilty. So that's another case. So that's what I was wondering, like, wow. So you think there was like, that night there was two different killers. There was one that killed the person who bought the sketches, I guess. And then the person who made the sketch killed other people on another time. He confessed to the murder and committed suicide in prison. This is the other guy. While awaiting trial, but I mean, that's just if this person, what they're writing. It doesn't, I mean, I don't know why they'd be making shit up. They just read a book. But it would be extremely creepy if a man who later became a notorious serial killer had such an important, albeit innocent, connection to another notorious case. Of course, it's quite possible that Rafe and the Doodler were two different people. The Quinn murder was in New York City and the Doodler murders were in San Francisco. But the timing would work. The Quinn murder took place in early 1973 and the Doodler murders started a year later, and in that era, how many black guys made it a habit of hanging around bars and sketching people? I mean, that's pretty, you know. You wouldn't even have to say black guy. It's how many people anywhere sit around at a bar and sketch people. That's not even that common. Finally, it's interesting to note that Roseanne's killer, John Wayne Wilson, was bisexual. He visited the bar with his male lover. After the lover left, Wilson talked to Rafe, bought him a few drinks, and bought his sketches. I wonder if the connection there... Yeah, so he bought the sketches, then he went over and killed an individual, but he left those images at that apartment, and then they went back and asked Rafe, hey, who'd you sell those to? And that's how it led to the killer. Okay, that's right. So that was kind of an interesting little side note there, huh? I mean, it's kind of a long ways away, but they're both big cities where you can kind of lose yourself in the crowd, right? Yeah, I'm going to store this folder as well. And now we're going to go take a look at that newspaper.com article that we never really looked at. This one. So you look at all these right here. Now this is 1974, and when you're going down this, we're going through these, and Ada was looking at and saw this Stig Berlin. That's one of the ones mentioned in that one article, but you know, right here it said he had been stabbed possibly by a homosexual killer, police said. So that's similar to the remember, he was one of the 3 that were killed in their apartments. Yeah, so this one, George Mudd, 20. He was stabbed in front of a coffee shop in the these are just random killings here. In the 600 block of Broadway. Gerald Kavanaugh, that is one of the so-called Doodler victims, 50, whose body was found on a beach near Ula Street at 1:30 a.m., January 27th. He was one of 3 stabbing victims who police believe may have been killed by someone preying on city homosexuals. And this article is from 1974, just November. And it's discussing how 1 of every 3 San Francisco murders this year is still unsolved. Samuel Adelman, 84, a jeweler whose body was found in his apartment at 1966 Pacific on January 27th. His throat had been cut. Jeez. Guess you didn't want to live in San Francisco in 1974, huh? Jesus. Paul Jankowski, 50, who was killed by a blow to the head. His body was found 10 p.m. January 29th in his apartment. Everett L. Bradley, 19, who was found inside an apartment at 80 West Point Road. She died of multiple stab wounds. Helena Kevin Gross, 65, who was strangled with an electric cord in his apartment at 6540. It'd almost be interesting to pin all these, just to kind of, and the timing of it. I mean, I know that they're not all related, but that's just a lot of stabbings and crap going on in the city at that time, don't you think? Yeah, I wouldn't live in San Francisco just politically. It's like Portland. I hate it. I mean, Nancy Pelosi. God, what an embarrassment. Let's see. Helena Cavengross, 65, who was strangled with an electric cord in her apartment at 6540. Then that Stig Berlin. And then Fat G, age unknown, whose throat was cut during a robbery of a cleaning. I mean, look at all these throats being cut and shit. Maybe there was just less guns back then. I don't know, but it's just... During a robbery of a cleaner shop at 144 6th Street, Archie Stewart, a 72 B Street, shot in the head with a .22 caliber revolver. Carlos R. Santiago, 31, who was shot twice in the 600 block of Indiana Street. William E. Romero, 73, shot in the head with a .38 caliber weapon on March 9th. Arlene Hind, 58, who was strangled with a rope on March 12th at 510 Larkin Street, apparently during a robbery attempt. Yeah. Man, that doesn't sound like a robbery. Gilbert Gavour, whose throat was slashed, March 31st, 1257 Schroeder Street. James C. Cook, 26, who was shot as he drove through the Broadway Tunnel at 1:39 a.m. Darlene I. Maxwell, 27, whose body was found at 9:34 a.m. May 7th in an empty lot at 244 Napoleon Street. She was raped and strangled. Michael Bird, 21, who was found in an apartment at 520 Buchanan Street. He had been stabbed on the head with an ice pick, apparently during a narcotics dispute. Nick Wiss, or maybe it's just W-I-S-S, I don't know if it's a weird way to do Wise, but 27, I guess it could be Wise, 27, and Clarence D. Taylor, 21, whose bodies were found at 10:23 p.m. May 25th at 504 Valencia Street. Their throats had been slashed in an incident apparently involving drugs, police said. Jane Doe, number 26, an unidentified black woman in her 20s, whose body was found stuffed in a sleeping bag on the roof of a building at 144 Eddy Street, June 24th. She's probably a prostitute, if she's unidentified. She'd been shot in the neck with a .22 caliber revolver, but she was stuffed in a sleeping bag on the roof. of a building. That's crazy. Joseph Stevens, 27, whose body was found 6:55 a.m. June 25th near Fulton Street at 34th Avenue in Golden Gate Park. So that's that same... Oh, I think that's one of them. Yeah, that's Joseph Stevens here. So this is another one of the... They spell it with a PH in there. So Joseph Stevens, 27, whose body was found at 6:55 near Fulton Street at 34th Avenue in Golden Gate Park. He'd been stabbed several times in the back and chest. So he's one of the victims. Klaus Christman, he's another one of the victims. Yeah, he also goes by Klaus Christman, I guess. 31, whose body was discovered July 7th on the beach near Lincoln Way. He had been repeatedly stabbed, possibly by a homosexual killer, police said. I don't think they realized that that's what Joseph Stevens was here. He was a transvestite, Joseph Stevens. A performer. And then he started doing like gay jokes later, I guess. Joanne Parker, 33, and so that was June 25th, and then this one was July 7th. Then July 7th, another lady, Joanne Parker, 33, who was found at 1 p.m. July 7th, she had been beaten to death by someone's fists. Man. Dalton Alexander, 29, who was shot in the head and shoulder with a .38 caliber gun. Wasn't there another .38 over here? Thought we saw that. Yeah. At 1516 Fulton Street on the afternoon of July 30th, police theorize he may have been killed in a lover's quarrel. Tito Leviti, 58, who was hit in the head at 1150 Masonic Avenue, had died of injuries suffered when he fell and hit his head on cement steps. His body was found. Well, why is he in there? Are you saying he got pushed, or? Doris Marie Lee, 31, who was stabbed to death at 8:28 p.m., apparently during a rape attempt. Yeah. See, that's the thing is, cases like that, people who do what happened to Doris Marie Lee here, they don't just do it that one time. That's the thing. I wonder if let me see something with this one. See if it goes down a rabbit hole. It has unrelated though. Murder of Doris Marie Lee. Is it going to show up of anything? No, she didn't live that long. I see the name there. Born 1925, 31. That's not the right age. It's weird how sometimes they aren't covered ever. Let me try one other way to do this. Doris Marie Lee. Yeah, well, there it is, but hey, guess what? It's the same article. Okay. Yeah. I can't stand it when it's like this. You get a killing and then there's absolutely nothing about him at all ever again. And that was August 24th, right? How about 1974? That says November. Maybe she's not from there. So there's the reference again. So that was August 24th. So how about you go? August 25th, 1974. Oh shit! This one's an AP report. Has nothing to do with what we were talking about, but this is in Chicago in 1974. A passerby Saturday discovered the dismembered body of a young woman and another body of a young girl, both nude, in the basement of a vacant, rundown apartment building on the south side. Well, now I want to go look that one up. Police could not immediately identify the victims, but said they were slain Friday night or early Saturday, and the remains carried in plastic bags to the apartment building. Homicide investigator James Dvorak said the child was strangled. The Cook County Coroner's Office listed the cause of death of the woman as unknown. Said her head and limbs were very neatly cut off, probably with a knife. One of the woman's arms, one of her legs, and the child's body were found in the doorway. Another arm and the woman's head were found on one side of the room, and the other leg and the torso were found on the other side. What in the hell's going on over here? That is crazy shit. Okay. Alright, so now I gotta look at this one. I'm sorry for the... Well, I didn't really have a lot more to go on the other one. I was just gonna maybe look up some of those other ones. But San Francisco, for some reason, it doesn't even hardly show up in newspapers.com at all. It's crazy. Alright, so now we know this is August 25th, 1974 in Chicago. You know what's weird is how the capital I and the little L's look exactly the same. Let me just put... What the hell? Look at this. This is a different one, if you can believe that. And now I gotta store both of these. A woman who was taking out the garbage. See, this is August 26th, not the 5th, 25th. A woman who was taking out garbage in the alley behind her house early Sunday discovered the second nude, decapitated body on the south side in 2 days, police said. Police identified the headless victim through fingerprints as Marion P. Richmond, 31, of Chicago. He was, let's see. Oh, it says he was the boyfriend of Mary Wilson, 25. So this is a female who's... Oh, wow. So these are related. Okay, hold on a second. Now I got a woman who was taking out the garbage in the alley behind her house early Sunday discovered the second nude decapitated body found on the south side in 2 days. Police identified the headless victim through fingerprints as Marion P. Richmond, 31, of Chicago. He was the boyfriend of Mary Wilson, 25, whose dismembered body was found in the basement of a vacant apartment building Saturday, along with the body of her 3-year-old daughter, who was strangled. At least 12 squad cars searched a large neighborhood. Now, okay, let's see what we got here. I gotta get the answer to this. Murder of Marion P. Richmond. Man. I almost need to get the answer to this. Let's see. Marion P. Richmond. Okay. August 27th. Police seek suspect in slam. Police said yesterday they still have no suspect in the murder over the weekend of Marion P. Richmond, 31, his friend Mary Wilson, 25, and her daughter, says, I don't know, it's spelled Christ, 3. Richmond's decapitated body was found Sunday in a garbage can behind, hold on, let's go to that. 1340 East 73rd Avenue in Chicago. So somewhere right around in this area. I don't know what it looked like in 74 though, you know. Yeah, Richmond's decapitated body was found Sunday in a garbage can behind 1340 East 73rd Street. The bodies of the woman and her child were found Saturday in the basement of an abandoned building at 444 East 50th Street. Uh, 444 East 50th Street. That's weird. There's two of them. There's one over there and then over here. How's that possible? Yeah. Guess we won't. Not going to pick one. Why is that interesting? Discerning light. Okay, so that was on the 27th. Yeah, was there ever anybody arrested for this? Oh, that's a little bit longer. Let me, a woman, her young daughter, and the woman's boyfriend have been found murdered on the city's south side. Police said 2 of the bodies had been decapitated. On Sunday, a woman who was taking out the garbage discovered the headless body of Marion P. Richmond, 31. A day earlier, the dismembered body of his girlfriend, Mary Wilson, 25, was found in the basement of a vacant apartment building along with the body of her 3-year-old daughter. The child had been strangled. Police today continued to search a large neighborhood on the south side of Richmond, missing Richmond's, let's see, the south side. On the south side. Wow, so they were looking for his head. Police today continued to search a large neighborhood on the south side for Richmond's missing head. Police said Richmond, a known narcotics user. Hey, thanks, Linda Howe, as in Linda Molden Howe of the cattle mutilations. Yeah, I'm not one of those numerology type people there. I know a lot of people. Oh, look at that! So you subtract the 4 from the 2, and then you get a negative. You know, it just doesn't mean anything.
Love the freaks in gray.
Police today continue to search a large neighborhood on the south side. Police said Richmond, a known... Okay, so this probably was a drug deal. And it was just retribution. So he was a known drug dealer, known narcotics user. Well, he was a narcotics user. Had a record of 4 previous arrests, including 1 for burglary. The dead woman also had a long police record for theft, drug possession, and prostitution. So you sort of wonder if they got... You know, they... pissed off the wrong guy there with the drugs. And Richmond's body was discovered by Mrs. Ruth McGriff. The woman told police she was taking out some garbage when she noticed a large blanket in the alley. A human arm protruded from beneath the blanket, she told police. Man, I bet you they never made an arrest in that one. What's her name now? Mary, well, God, Mary Wilson. Hey, how many Mary Wilsons do you think live in Chicago? Probably 1 million. Here, I'll try one shot in the dark here. 1975 to 2010. If it even shows up once, that's probably it. Should have been first. No. I'll try one other thing. If you get rid of the P, sometimes it works. Nope, absolutely nothing. Unbelievable. Jesus. Yeah, sometimes, but they mean nothing, absolutely nothing to us, or in this case whatsoever. Yeah. Right, some people use, but just because there's 444 doesn't mean, oh my God, did you see that? There was a 4, oh man. Yeah, it's just one of those things that people waste their time looking at. Okay, now if you had like 10 different cases and everybody was buried on a different street, but at the 444 address, it still wouldn't mean anything. It would just be like, wow, look at that. That person killed him there and liked something about 444. So let's put a stake out and all the rest of the addresses to start with 4, you know. That's how it might mean something. But at the same time, it's just literally, that's like 1 in 50 million cases that has something to do with that. You know, Zodiac or, you know, those kinds. You know, like for example, all the wackos out there coming up with dates for the Abby and Libby compared to Lyric and Elizabeth. Oh, did you see a way if you spin it around, it looks like...
Gray, you're so... Gray, you're so mean. Why can't we talk about the numerology?
Well, you can. I'm just not interested myself. Wait, I'm not you.
Oh, that was pretty good. Hey, thanks, Lee D. Yeah. Oh, man. Look at that. I got sent to jail. Ah, Jesus.
Gray, you're so mean. That's why you get sent to jail all the time.
Yeah, I guess so, you know? Who the hell knows, right? It's the people that get offended by it that it just... Oh man, look at Mysterious Monkey. So mean, so mean, so mean, so mean. I think she just put like 5 stamps, super glued the lock, just toast, you know? So I think we learned quite a bit about the... Hey, thanks, Rebecca. Oh, get a Gatorade. All right. A whole pack, even. But I think we got a good start on the Doodler, anyways. If you guys want to look up some stuff on your own and try to find maybe other victims, let me know. Thanks, Rebecca N. But she didn't put that was for bail on there. I'll just count both of those as bail. Get the hell out of here. Oh, bail is just what anybody sends in. That wasn't even my idea. I created that as a joke because people said I was so mean, so I went to jail. And then I can't remember who it was, but they said, "Here's bail, get out of there." And I was like, "Oh wow, that's pretty
so
fun."
mean. I love it. Heart.
The Googler.
To hell with the coffee, get a Gatorade.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. Or maybe I'll find one of these. Well, the problem is like I said, San Francisco doesn't have any of these. Was I even finished with that, though? Let me go back. I don't think I finished that. I think I jumped off when I found that one. Okay, here we go. Maybe we finished. James Gooley, 34, was shot through the right temple. Daniel J. Shepard, stabbed during an attempted robbery. This was a narcotics-related incident. Diane David, killed inside her apartment, 1438. She was repeatedly stabbed during an apparent sexual assault. That was another narcotics one. Maud Burgess. As soon as you read the name Maud, you know she's older. Whose gagged, tied body was found inside her apartment at 500 Hyde Street. 83 years old, and you gag and tie her up. She had suffocated after a robber apparently put a pillowcase over her head and tied her to the bed and then just left her there. That's what must have happened. Jeez. Juanita L. Corona, whose body was found at 5:02 p.m. October 13th in an apartment at 865 Fillmore. She died of multiple stab wounds. Her estranged husband, Paleo G. Corona, has been missing since the killing and is being sought by police. Well, thanks, Mysterious Monkey. I think I've got the audio on this. Whoa, Jesus! See, I was looking at the audio for the words. Whee!
Bloodstains are red. Ultraviolet lights are blue. Don't ever kidnap me because grey hues will find you. Smile.
Wow, you know what was amazing is Streamlabs read that perfectly. Good job, Streamlabs. And thank you very much, Mysterious Monkey. That was crazy. It read that perfectly. Maybe it has something to do with the way it was written. George Martin Allen, 27, who was shot once through the stomach with a .22 caliber weapon shortly before 4 a.m. James D. Myers, 66, who was fatally stabbed in a struggle with a would-be mugger at the entrance to the Frontenac Apartments. Albert R. Tupac, multiple gunshots. George Kefter, 23, whose body was found Monday at the end of Noriega Street on the beach. He had been shot in the back. Really? Where was Noriega Street? I mean, I know it's a different MO, but that's kind of weird. Yeah. Wow, so that means he was found right over here. On that, right there. Isn't that crazy? Another person found on the beach right there. They're in the same year, but that one was shot. And it could be, you know, who knows? See, the thing is all a killer has to do is change their MO up a little bit, and you wouldn't have a clue. George Kefter, 23, whose body was found Monday at the end of Noriega Street on the beach. He had been shot in the back with a shotgun. Strange one. So anyways, did you guys see yesterday I don't know what that person was, but the shooting of the two police officers in I think that was in Compton, California. Hey, look at that. There's Stacy Galloway. She always posts my videos on Twitter. Thanks, Stacy. You're always so nice. Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's just so disgusting. You have these idiots that were at the hospital they kept chanting they were glad, you know, like, hope they die. Man, I don't know how those cops that were there restrained themselves at all. And all the lefty wackos could focus in on was how a reporter was arrested. Oh, boo-hoo. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. I don't give a shit about that. I really don't. I literally don't care. So look, this is how it went right here. Now I think that's either a little girl, or I mean a young person in my mind, and somebody that's really short. I don't give it. They go, well, it's an SUV. Well, I don't know. I mean, even if it's an SUV, it's a low profile SUV, and you know, the person just walks up, boom, boom, shoots through the glass, hits them both in the head. This guy, one of them actually gets out and starts ambulating around. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a normal kid because those pants are those pulled down shit. See, he's got the stupid ass white thing where you pull your pants down below your ass, you know. So yeah, it's just brutal. And then you had all these people. Oh my God! Did you see how the reporter got arrested? God, who cares? My God. Absolutely meaningless, you know?
Please don't, nigga!
Oh yeah, this is when the shots were made. You know, right after the cops were shot. Look how ecstatic this guy is. Just really pumped up. Here, watch this. He's just so excited about it. I'm not sure. It's not playing now, but maybe if I go back and load it again.
Nigga just aired the police out, nigga. They just aired the police out, nigga. It go up and come.
Yeah. Well, that's what he was just so excited about it. Yeah. Hey, let me ask you something. Hey, the NBA, since you're the one that's out there pumping all the people that are doing this stuff, will you cancel your games one night for the 2 officers that were shot, since you canceled 4 nights of basketball when a person who raped a woman was shot in the back and lived? Okay, these are just officers sitting in a car. Will you cancel a couple of your nights of games for those officers? And the answer is no. They won't do that. And I think that's absolutely disgusting, okay? It makes me just not want to ever watch a goddamn game again, you know? There's anybody out there that's like, yeah, good job, NBA. You've really got this cause under control. No, you don't. You don't have it under control at all. As a matter of fact, you made something way worse than it ever was. Okay? Because now you've encouraged all these people that think you all have their back. They're doing all this great stuff. It's wonderful work. It's just not. Okay? Yeah, they did say that, Suzanne. It was crazy. And that's where the reporter was arrested, because she wasn't doing what they said too. They told everybody to back off, and they arrested her. What's the big deal there? You know, who gives a shit? She didn't have any of her credentials on her at all. She just kind of showed up on the scene. I think it's the whole movement is a sham and just an absolute joke. Okay, I understand. I get it. Like, you know, let's get rid of the cops who are, you know, the really aggressive types that are, you know, let's get rid of them. But other than that, just do what a cop tells you to do and you'll live. It's amazing how it works. If you start struggling and fighting, now there are, you know, a few examples out there, very few, where they were doing nothing and they got killed because there was a whack job cop. Now, we got to get rid of them before they're in a position to be able to do that. Man, I wish everybody would watch Candace Owens. She just gave a whole, you know, presentation yesterday with a whole bunch of different other guests, Larry Elders, a pastor, and they just said it how it is, you know? It's the reality of it. And it's not just, oh, because I agree. It's because it's real, what they were talking about. That's the truth of it. Is anybody out there that's proud of all this shit that's going on? Well, most of the protests are peaceful. Oh, okay, right, okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think what Trump said was right, man. I think whoever went up and shot those people, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking too. Yeah, just go out and boom. Yeah, it doesn't matter at all. But those are little kids though. They're Kubi though. That's how you could tell that the person was a kid. Now I don't know. I wouldn't just be like, oh yeah, quickly convict him and execute him. You got to do everything the correct way. Hold on a second. Yeah, that was my wife calling. Blue and Chloe went nuts right there. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to sit there and go, hey, just quickly try him and execute the person. And that'll send a message. I think it's like, you got to do the right process, and it's a little harder than if it's a kid or something. But it's at the same time, what are you doing? That person, his complete intent was to kill 2 completely innocent officers. Okay? So right now, the entire thing is turned into a shit show, garbage, hypocritical bullshit scenario. And it's too late for people like Biden to say anything like, oh, I condemn it. No, because you let it go on for months and months until you got your nomination. Okay? You didn't want to offend the wrong person. The people who you said, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Yeah. I don't think Kubi likes this conversation, so she took off. Thanks, Gloria. I didn't mean to, I just wanted to show you that shooting, right? Yeah. Well, it just came out that he actually uses teleprompters in the questions. Like when you're just on a Skype call and somebody says, so what do you think about this? He has somebody that quickly scrolls through, finds it, and then loads it up so that he has an answer to read. That's just scary shit, man. That's so scary. Oh my God, are you kidding? He used to be really sharp and quick. And then when they asked Brett Baird was asking the spokesperson, and he wouldn't answer the question. He wouldn't say yes or no. He just kept saying, I'm not going to answer. Yeah, it was just scary. Really scary. Yeah. I was thinking maybe it was initiation 2 stuff up there when I saw it. Some kind of initiation. Obviously because it supports the whole movement and everything too, Man, you know what I would love to see? The leaders of Black Lives Matter have a press conference and say they do not condone any violence against officers whatsoever. I'd have a hell of a lot more respect for them if they do that. But I think inwardly they're excited and happy about it. And that's scary. Right. That's exactly right. Yeah. Yeah. So, anyways, my wife's gonna be coming home in a minute. Gonna whip something up for her to eat. Try to do it one-handed. Well, I can use my left hand a little bit better now. It's just so lame how slow this shit is. Yeah. Well, you remember that knockout game where a gang member would come up to just an absolutely innocent person and then punch him in the face, knock him out? That was all gang initiation. But that was okay, you know, even though it was always a white person being punched in the face. It was okay because, you know, we're so privileged. We're so privileged to just get punched in the face and knocked out. It's amazing. Yeah, I make dinner all the time. What do you mean, have I ever made dinner? Jesus. Yeah, well, I'm sorry. Look, I don't mean to, I wasn't trying to, you know, I didn't mean to do a political thing here. I was just wanted to, but it always comes out because these are the kinds of things that people should be noticing and realize where it's disseminating from instead of just listening to MSNBC, CNN, and thinking, yeah, this is all Trump's fault. How is that Trump's fault at all? It isn't. And that's the reality of it. But people, if it gets sold to you a specific way, then all of a sudden it makes sense and you're able to continue on believing something. Now, it's something I said to Rebecca on another channel. I was like, maybe that's I was watching actually agenda-free TV. Well, thanks, Stacy. All right. You know, I was actually thinking of, you know, one night a week or something covering just other, like, investigate other types of mysteries. You know, like the Dyatlov Pass, right? That was cool. But it'd be cool to actually do the same thing with other mysteries. What do you guys think about that? Because my channel is called Gray Hughes Investigates. It doesn't have to always be, you know, I am a true crime channel, so that would be the main thing. But yeah, what I didn't like was how excited that one person was. And then the idiots that showed up to the hospital and they were doing that passive-aggressive shit where they just kept trying to entice the cops into something. And then when the cops started walking towards them, forcing them back, they go, "See what you guys did? See what you did?" I mean, what a joke. Exactly what you see in that video is exactly why it turns into a bigger deal. Because if that officer had grabbed one of them, you know the guy wouldn't have just let him grab him. He would have swung around, tried to punch him, and then all of a sudden the guy would try to grab the cop's gun, and the cop would grab the gun first and shoot him, and then, oh my God, see, another brutal, you know. No, it's not like that. It's not like that at all. Yeah, you like that? Okay. Oh, MH370. Yeah, I remember that when that happened. That would have been a cool one to be covering. I remember I was one of the people that, you know, they sent it, everybody could look on satellite images. You know, they've never actually solved that thing. It's just so bizarre. An entire airliner just... Yeah. Well, the thing is here's the reality, everybody. The education system in the inner city sucks. It's absolutely terrible. And that needs to be fixed. And that'll give people a chance to be doing something else with their lives. And the problem, there's one political party out there, I won't tell you which one it is, but they want to keep it this way because it ensures votes every single election, because they're the ones that promise all these different things but never deliver, and it happens every election. I mean, it's like at what point are they going to wake up and go, you know, this is just a con game here. They're not doing a damn thing. This just never happens. So it just keeps going and going and going and going, and it never ends, because the reality of it is, if people work hard and we get better teachers in the inner cities, get rid of the shitty teachers is what I'm saying. Most teachers are good, but there are the really shitty ones. And you got to make it sort of a community thing where you're not letting a kid just sort of pass through. He's got to learn. Okay? I don't know. I just think what's going on is you have a couple of these incidents, and all of a sudden it's this huge epidemic of systemic stuff, racism. And it really isn't anywhere near what's being presented out there. And I know it's kind of cool and hip to believe in that stuff, but it's just not happening anywhere near that. I know that there are issues out there. They do exist. So don't get me wrong, but it's nowhere near what's being presented to the public and what many people are starting to believe because it's being sold over and over again. I mean, who are these idiots who would actually kneel down and say, I'm sorry, I have got white privilege? And it's like, what do you mean? When I was growing up, we were poor as hell, and it's my mom who worked hard to make sure that we had food on the table, okay? We didn't have shit. We lived in a horrible neighborhood, absolutely terrible, and we weren't privileged whatsoever. Well, it was just the fact that you're white that you were... Oh, I see. I get it. So for some reason, I don't know. I just... Yeah. Hey, thanks, Timothy Cecil. Why do I want to go east on 6th Street? Jane Doe. So, anyways, everybody, I hope I didn't offend too many people there. I thought what I said was rational and actually made sense. I'm sorry if you didn't think so, but that's just the reality of it. Okay, well, I got to get going. Probably won't do the flyby. I got to get going in the kitchen here. Thank you, Dadio Caspian Horses Rock. And before we get out of here, let me say thank you to all of the contributing, for everybody who was watching, and the donations made by Crystal Ann, Billy Boy Blue, Randy B, Carol Look at the Flowers, Layla My Layla, Ava Lynn, Nona 617, Susie B, Lee D, Billy Boy Blue, Slim Dog, Nan Sullivan, Steph May, and Heather with 2 back-to-back cat eye donations, although Steph May was 1 penny short. Linda Howell, Lee D, Rebecca N, Angie Pangy, and then Mysterious Monkey with another cat eye donation. Gloria Batari, and then Timothy Cecil became a Oogla Boogla freak. And Dadio Caspian Horses Rock. Right at the end there. Oh, we're only halfway through the month. Yeah, so we're not even at the normal halfway amount. So that's all I'm saying. So every single day. I mean, here's how it works. 30 days, right? If we got I try to get around 200 a day on YouTube, because let's say you guys donate 200. Well, I only get 70% of it, so it really needs to be like 230 or something. And then at the end of the month, I take 25% of the gross that I get, because then I get taxed on, after YouTube takes their 30%, the entire amount that I get, I donate 25%, and then I get taxed on that. So it ends up being about like 60-40. 40% to charity, and then I get 60% for my channel for all the work that I put in. Okay, that's how it works. Okay. So at the end of the month, and most months I donate more than that, because I just take money out of my PayPal and send it in. I've said this explanation about 50 times. But so like last month when we donated $2,400, I didn't make 8,000 or whatever that is. It just didn't happen. I just took money out of my PayPal account and made it $2,400. If I was actually doing it the normal way, it would have been $1,500. Okay, so I gave an extra $900 because I wanted to see 13,000 up on the screen. Oh, PayPal's always better, yeah. Although, you know, the thing is PayPal's better percentage-wise, but it's the revenue from YouTube that I use in general. But that's what I mean. So if people do donate some through PayPal, I take a big bonus amount and add it to that. That's where I buy like my equipment and just, you know, I'm trying to make it so at some point I can actually just do YouTube. You know, like if I had 100,000 subs and everybody, you know, I might be able to do that. But I like my actual job is okay too. You know, I like it, so. Yeah, so for those people out there that don't know, we've donated this year. You can see it right here on the main screen. Our total is $13,000, and we've given Texas EquiSearch is the number one. They got 5,000 so far. Then the Kyron Horman Foundation for Allison Watterson was 2,700. The DNA Doe Project, 2,300. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, 1,600. We need to get that one up a little bit. And then we donated $1,000 during COVID to the first responders, you know, police and so forth. And then also the Innocence Project, $400 so far. So probably need to. It seems I want to keep giving to Texas EquiSearch every month, though. That's the thing. So because Texas EquiSearch is they're kind of struggling during this COVID time. They haven't been able to do any fundraisers, and they're just amazing. So there you go. Yeah, it's really, and it's all you guys that make this happen. You know, I put on the shows for hours and hours and hours every night, and do all the research and do the shows. And, you know, that's why part of it goes to supporting my channel. But you guys are what make it so we've been able to donate such a way bigger amount. Because early on, you know, maybe be a couple hundred or something. And then it just started getting bigger and bigger, 1,500, 2,000, 24, you know. So my goal for this year is 20,000. We got 7,000 more to go. Hopefully at the end of this month, we'll be able to do another 2 or something, get it to 15. And see if we can just coast right in at the end of the year. Who knows? Yeah? Yeah, I should have your guys' pictures up there more, you know. Like it should always be up in the corner playing. Maybe I'll do something like that. We're going to do it. All right, Stacy. Okay, everybody, that is going to be it for me tonight. Make sure that you are still sanitizing washing your hands all the time, wearing your mask, and maintaining social distancing. We just got, if everybody just started wearing their masks all the time, we'd get through this. Because a lot of people are predicting that it'll be like a second wave again during the winter months, but I don't know. I'm hoping we're going to get a vaccine. I'm going to grab that sucker and jam it into my arm. Quick. Well, thanks, Linda Howell. You wouldn't know that if you listened to read some of the comments on the community section on a different channel. They act like I'm some kind of a monster. Because when they had a theory, I went, oh, that's ridiculous, man. Oh, did you hear Gray? He didn't let me say whatever. Okay, well, too bad, you know, but that's my show. Now, you can make your own show, and you can disagree with what I say. I like to keep moving forward in rational thought with ideas that maybe lead to an actual answer. Even though sometimes the really crazy one works, it's just really rare, so that's how I do it, okay? All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Oh, it looks like my wife's coming home. And I didn't make it. And as I always say, everybody, until next time, Be safe out there. Yeah, I've been doing this true crime thing for quite a while now. And during this whole time, I have not seen one person that is a crime dissector, plug rejector. I'm a certified human lie detector. Gonna get ya on a stretcher if you try and play me like an old projector.
Crime sector is my nectar. Professor Gray is gonna give another lecture.
Crime code,
Oh wait, I thought it was
freak connector.
And I'm always, come on, you got it, you got it. Okay,
Hold
okay,
reflector,
You got it, you got it.
Okay, let me see.
And I'm meaner than a
Spectre with a vector on his pector with a respector.
Just remember,
Wait, oh, you almost had it,
I
Mary.
have no agenda. I'm no pretender. And I'll serve it to you straight without the blender. And in the end, I'm gonna send ya on a mission to reveal the true offender.
Alright, hey!
Yeah, so I'll just get right back to work. Alright, everybody? Talk to you later.
Hey, thanks, John Boy, for trying to encourage me there.
Well, I was just embarrassed for you for making mistakes.
Oh, I thought you were trying to help.
Okay, I was kind of trying to help, but
Couldn't you just accept it the first time? Jeez, you're so mean, John Boy. Good night, John Boy.
good night, Mary Lou, and many more.
What the hell was that?
All right, everybody. Anyways, thank you very much. And be safe out there.